Hi, my name is Charlotte Oxnam. I'm a freshman studying biomedical engineering at Northwestern University, and here's how I started 2 companies by the time I was 18. My first introduction to entrepreneurship really came through a program that was started in my high school called the Student Initiative in Social Entrepreneurship. The focus of this program was to give kids a 6-month course in how to create a business plan, a business model, and eventually pitch to actual venture capitalists for the chance to get funding for your idea. All of our ideas had to be socially based, so they had to provide a social good to the world. And I knew I wanted to take advantage of this program, so I started to look around my life about what I thought I could improve. I realized that I had taken Spanish for 9 years, and my conversational skills were less than stellar. It seemed ridiculous that I had taken a language for that long and still couldn't speak it, and I realized that one of the key issues was that I wasn't speaking it with native speakers. In addition to that, I didn't really have an emotional connection to the language. It was all pretty academic. So I started to think about the pen pal programs that some schools had, and I started to think how amazing it would be if these happened over video call. So I started to develop a software that would allow that to happen. It would be weekly video calls between students in the US and students in Spanish-speaking countries to work on their conversational skills and to build that emotional connection to the language. I didn't have all the skills for this. I had to find people who knew how to code, people who could explain to me business plans. I dove into every book and article I could find, talked to anyone I could talk to, and built out a business plan and eventually got $8,000 worth of funding in the end of my sophomore year. I got to experience every stage of building a company, from ideation to hiring subcontractors to dealing with subcontractors that weren't fulfilling their timelines. I experienced many bumps in the road, and it taught me a lot about what it took to build a company, and not only to build a company, but to continually grow and change your idea as you run into issues along the way. The first idea that I came up with on my first day of workshops was not the idea that it currently is. When I got to college, I joined the Garage, which is Northwestern's entrepreneurship hub, and was exposed to Propel, which is a program that supports women in entrepreneurship. And I started to really think about what my next idea that I wanted to work on was. I really enjoyed the process of going from an idea to a full-fledged business plan, and I wanted to sort of start from scratch on something new. And I also started to really think about my experiences with my body image and being a plus-size woman in this world and how social media played into all of that. And I decided that I wanted to create a platform to support young plus-size girls who were going through what I had gone through in middle school, high school, and now college. So I was able to apply for a grant to make this idea happen, and Cue the Curves was born. It's a website that really focuses on providing resources for plus-size women, to place to share their stories, to share tips, tricks, fun clothing sites, everything that a girl could need and maybe isn't exposed to based off of who their friends are at home. With both of my ideas, I really had to start from scratch. I had to build an idea, I had to convince people it was worth funding, and then I had to keep working and keep pivoting and keep changing the ideas. And I think that would be my biggest piece of advice for starting anything, is that it will never be what you initially thought it was going to be. You might find that your initial idea was wrong, or that there's a better opportunity somewhere that you can improve upon by shifting your idea, or that you didn't read the market right. There's so many things that can go wrong. So the first wrong move isn't the end of you. It's just a new place to step off of. And number 2 is that you should just go for it. I mean, my companies got very far before I got any funding. And it's really key that you find what we call the minimum viable product, which is how little money can you put in to really get things started, because it's amazing how cheaply you can start an idea, and then from there it can start paying for itself, and all of a sudden you really didn't need funding to start with. And so the biggest hump is just starting and trying and going for it, and to be willing to fail, and to be willing to have to try again, and to ask lots of people for help, and to really listen to people. You might think you know what the problem is, and you might think you know what the solution should be. But if you sit down and you take the time to really talk to the people that you're trying to help, you'll find that there's often other issues, other factors, other things happening that can greatly affect what your product or your project might end up being. But in the end, the best thing you can do is to do it and to try your best and to go full force at it and to try to create a positive change in the world, because even if it fails, you'll learn something from it and then the next one will work.